we go. In 3, 2.
Hey, how's it going? It's This Week in Sports. A lot of stuff going on, including, well, it's the best time in sports, really. It's October. So, October baseball. Blue Jays looking for home field advantage in the wild card series. MLB season obviously coming to an end because of that, and the NHL season just around the corner. The preseason has already started, and NFL football is going on. I've been watching a lot of that. CFL is coming to an end here, but haven't watched much of that because our team sucks. But before we get into any of that, I just want to talk about my experience with the Northern Alberta Tomahawks. That's why I'm rocking this lid, doing play-by-play for them. I mentioned it in previous episodes, but just did my second game this past week in sports, and it was absolutely amazing and a lot of fun. And I felt it felt so natural, and I knew after that first game that the second game was going to be a lot better because the first one's always rough of anything you really do. I think you're just learning, and as I was. But the second game, man, holy shit! I felt like so much more comfortable, and a few reasons why. One of the reasons is I had my actual glasses. I had my other glasses. On the first game, I had to wear these because I forgot my other freaking spectacles at home, like an idiot. So I had to rock these during the game, and not only was I trying to learn all the players and just learning everything, I couldn't see at 100%. So this week, I was already off to a good start. I had my other glasses, and I already was familiar with some of our Tomahawks players. I was studying the roster over the week, and was familiarizing myself with the numbers and who they are and kind of their stats. And so the second game, I felt like I felt like a pro. I felt like a natural. It was really it was so much fun, and it felt really good. And I'm pretty sure you can if you want to check it out, you look up Northern Alberta Tomahawks on YouTube, and the game should still be on there. Last week's game got taken down because of copyright shit, and I think because I let the music play over me talking more often than not. And this time I was more assertive in my announcing and commentating because I was more comfortable. And so YouTube, as far as I checked last night, they didn't take it down. I'll double check right now. And if they haven't taken it down yet, it'll still be up here. And it looks like it's still good. Yeah. Fucking A, man. So
if people want more of your,
if they want more of this beautiful, amazing, seductive voice, check me out on the Nat. Oh, ouch. The Nats YouTube channel, Northern Alberta Tomahawks. But yeah, the kids they came out with another win, 6-2 final against the Slave Lake Ice Dogs, and it was a way. I felt so comfortable and it felt so natural. I can't wait to do the next game, and upcoming games. But next week, I'm glad it's almost like a blessing in disguise that both games that the Tomahawks are playing are on the road, so I won't have to announce them. But I'm doing some other announcing next weekend. It's not 100% confirmed, but it will be confirmed by our next episode. So I don't want to go too in depth with that. But next weekend's going to be busy as fuck, anyways, because the Blue Jays they just won tonight. They just swept the Red Sox in 3 games, and they're 2.5 games up of the Mariners for the top wild card seed. Meaning that if they do land that top wild card seed, they'll have all 3 games at home at Rogers Center in Toronto next weekend. So next weekend's going to be jam packed, and it's also the long weekend. It's Thanksgiving weekend, so I think we're gonna have yeah. No, but I was talking to Mom about it earlier. I think we're gonna have the dinner on Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, because that's the holiday, right? And so
I might work.
you might work on the Monday.
No, if it's a holiday.
Yeah, but you worked yesterday or on Friday.
Yeah. Well, I can ask for it off. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm not vital to the
No, that's fair. And I'm gonna take it off, 'cause if there's a dinner involved, I'm taking it off. I don't
Yeah.
give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's Thanksgiving, and I don't think they want to pay us overtime all day during that day, so I think I'll get the day off anyways. But yeah. Beyond the point is wild card series for the Blue Jays coming up on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, coming up in this week in sports this upcoming week. But we just took out the uh, Red Sox 6-3 this game, which theoretically could be our last home game of this season if somehow we're able to shit the bed, and not able to somehow shit the bed and get overtaken and lose home field advantage. But we're playing the Orioles next here, so I like our chances of getting home field advantage for the wild card series. But yeah, we swept the Red Sox. We beat them 6-3, and Hernandez had a 2-run homer, and it was his second. He had 2 home runs in the finale. 2 and 2 at bats. Kevin Gausman, a big storyline there was he got pulled early in the game. I think it was in the 4th inning. He got pulled, and because he had apparently a blister issue on his finger. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to fucking bullshit. I didn't watch the game because I was watching NFL, but I was keeping track of what was happening, and I watched the end of the Blue Jays game when Romano closed it out, and I guess it was the first game in Blue Jays history where a Canadian got the save and a Canadian got the W, and that was Zach Pop got the W, and Jordan Romano got the save, and that was the first time ever that it's happened in Canada. I think it's happened before, like in Milwaukee or something, but that was the first time that's happened in Canada, where the winning pitcher was Canadian, the save was a Canadian, and it happened in Toronto. So give them some love, studio audience. Yes. And yeah, Hernandez coming back hot. And yeah, we came off a couple wins from the Blue Jays. We're going in hot. And the final series, I think if we, even if we take one out of the 2, actually, no, Seattle has 4 games left. I'm just thinking out loud here. Seattle, the team that's behind us, has 4 games left. We have 3 games left. So Seattle, if Seattle were to go 3-1, and for us to have home field advantage, we would have to go. We couldn't get swept. If we win one of these last 3 games, there's a good chance we'll still have home field advantage. So that's very promising. I mean, the Blue Jays were celebrating the other day when they clinched. They clinched on an off day. So when they played against the opener against Boston, they beat them like 9-0, and then they beat them 10-0 the next game. Just completely destroyed them. When we beat them the first game, there was a huge celebration in the Blue Jays locker room. We seen it when we were out to dinner. We seen the greatness and the cheers to the Blue Jays.
Come on, audience.
They were all taking a sip. Give them a break. Right. Me too. No, that was that's for the Blue Jays, because this will be the first time since 2016 that there's playoff game that there, if we are able to have playoff games at Rogers Place. This will be the first time since 2016, because the last 2 times that we made the playoffs, it was during COVID and shit. So none of the games were played in Toronto, right? So they weren't able to experience it. Actually, it was just the one time in 2020. But
regardless, we're going deep.
Dude, if we go deep, man, I might have to take a trip out there and do an episode or something out in Toronto once again. But there's a lot of other baseball news too before the season wraps up. Albert Pujols with his 700 and this is crazy to even say, his 702nd home run, tying Babe Ruth. Like it's so crazy, man. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable career. And also this week in sports, Aaron Judge got 61 in Toronto. We all seen it. I actually have a buddy from the E-Town riots that is in Toronto and seen it live. Wow. He was there and he's seen it live. Shout out to Jeffrey. and no, not you, Jeff, the other Jeff. So he was there for it, and yeah, no, it was just an iconic moment, and it was cool that it happened in Toronto. Then I was watching it live because I'm not sure if Sportsnet broadcasts uh, every New York game, but they might if there's only like 3 games left. Because hopefully, I'd love to see Judge break the record, go getting 62. That'd be amazing, and that'd be 2 records by Babe Ruth getting broken in the same year. 2 home run records by Babe Ruth getting broken in the same year, which is crazy. The all time and the single season that he set. So hopefully that does happen. Um, Moving on though to, I mean, we can get into the rest of baseball, but there's a lot of other news going on in the world of sports, obviously, and that includes. Should we just go into the NHL? Yeah, the
Shell.
Oilers. There's some chill. We're ramping up for the season. I'm stoked for the season because I got tickets to Game 1, October 12th against the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not going to say that I watched the preseason because I don't, but I do. I am seeing some good signs based on like the highlights that I'm seeing, and we're looking all right. But you can't really tell till Game 1 starts, and that's why I got to be there for it. And I'm super stoked for that. That's October 12th at home against Vancouver Canucks. Oh, this whole next like week or two is gonna be fucking awesome, man. Because shortly before that, we're going to the Winspear Center. We're going to check some Star Wars music, all by John Williams and whatnot. That's going to be fucking hype. And then a couple days later, I'm going to the Oilers game, the home opener, with my cousin Amy and Gregory, her husband, and yeah, no, I've gone to like the last two home openers. I've been fortunate enough to go to, and so I wanted to keep it going this year, and sure enough, I am, and I couldn't be more excited. I haven't been this excited for the start of a season I think ever in my life, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about that at length on this podcast before. So yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and the fact that I'm able to share it with some of my favorite people is even that much more. It's gonna be that much more enjoyable. And some other quick hockey news: Canadian signed goalie Jake Allen. They're solidifying their spot because Carey Price may or may not be back. That might be it for Carey.
Hmm.
And so they signed Jake Allen to a 2-year, 7.7 million dollar contract extension. Um,
How old is Carey Price?
he's in his, I think he's like 33 or something, 34. So he's not
Okay.
like old by any means, but he's struggled with injuries, and then he took some time away for his mental health, quote unquote. But he took a lot of time away, and it's just crazy to me that that was never that was never a thing that players did in the past, and I'm glad that they do now. But it does affect their careers, though.
Yeah.
It'll probably help them in the long run, obviously, as a person. But as an athlete, you take that much time away, that fucks with your game, right? So I don't know. You almost got to weigh it. It's like, should I take some time off, or should I just fucking power through it and keep striving for glory? That's what these athletes have to deal with, but they get paid big bucks to do such a thing, and so I mean, ideally, Carey Price would not it would not be over for Carey Price, but I mean, it's looking like it might be. But what a career already. Um, so we talked Blue Jays. We talked. Oh yeah, one thing I really wanted to talk about baseball. Back to baseball real quick is where we have the Mariners game on here. It's just going from game. It's going the New York game ended, so Sportsnet feed went to the Mariners game. And something I wanted to point out for the Mariners, they're going to. Oh my God, as like an error happens on the field, I'm gonna praise them. This is the first time that they're going to the playoffs since 2001. It's the first time in 21 years that the Seattle Mariners are going to the playoffs. So I just wanted to point that out because I don't think the average sports fan knows that. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that long of a streak that the Mariners didn't make the playoffs. Like they always had like a somewhat decent team. Well, in the early 2000s, they had a really good team with Ichiro. Um, I guess they didn't have Griffey in the early 2000s. He left in the like, Ken Griffey Jr. Yeah, it was like 2000. He left, I think, or something like that. But yeah, the last time they made the playoffs, it was 2001, and so they finally clinched, and they are going in. And we actually might. There's a chance that we'll face them in a wild card series. They're the team that's behind us. So yeah, we'll be up against them. Just looking through some of the news throughout the last week in sports. Yeah, so I've been watching a lot of NFL, watching watching the Red Zone, which is awesome. It's fucking like one of the dopest things ever as far as like live sports. If you don't know what Red Zone is, it's covering NFL, and they jump from game to game to game to game because at any given point on a Sunday, there's like 5 games going on, and so they show whatever game has the best chance of uh, having a touchdown scored, or they're in the red zone, which the red zone is 20 yards or less from the end zone, and so it's just exhilarating, so exciting. You can't even like get up and take a leak, like you're just enveloped in it. But we have this Oakland Athletics game on against the Seattle Mariners, and the Oakland A's just went back to back home runs and just took the whole wind out of everyone's sails. But you got to cheer for the A's though, because we don't want Seattle overtaking us, right? So this is good for us. And I like the fact that the Seattle was able to break their streak of missing the playoffs, but we don't want them to win anymore. They're already in, so it's all good. I know I'm jumping back back and forth between two different sports here, but that might be 3 in a row. Holy smokes! That was almost 3 home runs in a row in this game. But quickly on baseball before we actually move on. Otani, Showtime. He was I think he was set to go to free agency. He didn't have a deal after this year, next year, but he and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim agreed to a 1-year, $30 million contract. Oh, it was to avoid arbitration because he was going to be a restricted free agent. That's what it was. But so they gave him $30 million for next year, and I think that's almost a steal of a deal because you get a starting pitcher and one of the best hitters in the league for the price of a starting pitcher or one of the best hitters in the league.
It's a bargain.
Yeah, you get both in one. So that's huge. And fuck, he's one of my favorite players because the fact that he can do that is unbelievable. But real quick before we get to this week in sports history, just some of the things I've seen from early Sunday here in the NFL. I got up early this morning, and there was a game between the Vikings and the New Orleans Saints that took place in London, England, and it started at like 7:30 in the morning, and it was quite the game. It was back and forth. It was close the entire game, and it ultimately came down to the final play of the game. It was crazy. It was a field goal, a 60-yard field goal by New Orleans to take the lead, and then the Vikings come back, and they get it was a long field goal too with like 25 seconds left. They get it was like a 50-yarder or something, and then there's only like 20 seconds left on the clock, and then the Saints bring it down the field, and they set it up for a 61-yard attempt. I don't know why this thing shit the bed. The Saints set up for a 61-yard attempt after they minutes earlier scored a 60-yard attempt. They hit from 60 yards. They have a chance to tie it from 61 yards. in London down to the last play. He boots it. It has enough distance. It's going. It's going. It hits the upright, bounces off the upright, bounces off the crossbar, and out. No good. So the Vikings hold on to win it 23-20, and it was a hell of a finish, especially to showcase that in front of London, right? Everyone in England, and it was ironic that it came down to kicking the ball, right? In football. And the Vikings ultimately hold on for a 28-25 final, and it was quite an entertaining game. It was back and forth. And this whole Sunday has been crazy. I mean, the Seahawks and the Lions game, they almost scored 100 points together. Seahawks 48-45 over the Lions. I was watching that. I'm always cheering for the Lions because, they've had no success in my lifetime. So I was cheer for the underdog. The Jets and Steelers came down to the last possession. That was 24-20 for the Jets. The Giants game came down to what happened in the Giants game? There were some huge plays in that. That was 2012 for the Giants, and some other games that weren't as important that I. The Eagles, though, my Eagles are 4-0. They went 29 over 21 over the Jags, and the rest, the Falcons, Browns, Chargers, Texans, Titans, Colts. Yeah, they were all pretty close games, and it was entertaining. But I'm glad that the Eagles went 4-0, and it's kind of bummed out that the Lions weren't able to bring it back on that huge high scoring game. And I was hoping for overtime in the London game, but it was still an entertaining game. And there's a couple more games going on here during the evening. Packers and Patriots, go Packs. Raiders and Broncos. I'm indifferent on that one. Panthers and Cardinals, I go for the Panthers because the Panthers have Chubba Hubbard, and he's from Edmonton, and he's in the NFL, which is fucking nuts.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. And then Monday Night Football this week is between the LA Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. That is tomorrow. So, before there was some, there's some NBA news as far as what's his face that got suspended for a year for having sexual relations or something, or a relationship with one of his employees or something. And apparently, crude language prior to the quote unquote improper relationship factored into the suspension. So maybe he let too many people know, maybe, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is, right? You have to keep that on the DL if you were to do that. I don't know.
You don't bring her to the barbecue.
You don't bring her to the barbecue, and you don't introduce her to her colleagues as well as your girlfriend.
Yeah.
But I don't know, inappropriate language. It could be a wide range of things, right?
Probably the C word.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can't say it on any.
Can't say charismatic.
Yeah. See you next Tuesday.
Yeah. So, this week in sports history, I had something in mind, but
no notes today, folks.
no notes. Kicking it free. This week in sports history, there's a few things that happened in this week in sports history. Mainly, I think this was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, 2018. Let's make sure I got this correct. Oh yeah. So this week in sports history, I was sporting a shit ton of dough. It was 8 years ago, not 4 years ago. 8 years ago. 2014. That's why I got mixed up. 2014, 8 years ago, not 4 years ago. 2018. Got it mixed up.
2014 is like a couple years ago.
I know it feels like that, right?
Right,
It feels
man.
like it's so nuts, man. It's already 2022. So 2014, holy shit, was 8 years ago. Anyways, it's freaking crazy.
What?
Yeah, right. It's unfathomable. But yeah, in 2014, I was making the most money I ever made, and so I was able to do anything I wanted. So I went to this is crazy. 8 years ago, I went to an Oilers. I bought Oilers tickets for the one of the first games of that season. I can't remember which one exactly it was, but
Right in Rexall Place.
in Rexall Place, and it was, bro. It was like comparing it to what it is like now is night and day. Because going into it, you had hope back then, right? Like, oh, it's gonna be okay. Like maybe we will try to make the playoffs. And now, it's like, shit. Maybe we win the cup,
Right.
right? So it's fucking nuts, and the amount the excitement that I have for this season, it can't be. There's no other season that's parallel with it because I'm excited for this, and I talk about every single episode, man. I'm gonna keep talking about it, and we have a goalie, we have the experience, and I'm going to the first game, October 12th, baby. We're gonna come back with another episode next week. This week in sports. Appreciate you watching, and next week we're gonna be on location somewhere. I don't want to say where because I want to make sure that it's confirmed and everything. But we're gonna be on location. We might have some guests, and it's gonna be a good episode. We talked about this, Caleb, but I think it's slipping your mind right now.
Yeah. So I remember.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. You know the deal. And yeah, check out Northern Alberta Tomahawks on YouTube. Subscribe to them too, and catch some of my catch the games that I'm announcing because I'm really really proud of it and I'm really happy for it. Go Tomahawks, go Blue Jays, and the Oilers are starting up soon. So go Oilers, and yeah, we'll until next time, we'll talk to you later.